sad news, courtesy of London promoters for the most part, Secretsundaze. They've unfortunately announced that they're going their separate ways. Secretsundaze founders Giles Smith and James Priestley will go their separate ways after 21 years. So recently they had their anniversary where they celebrated their anniversary with this amazing video, 20 years of Secretsundaze, which I'm going to end a bit of the podcast with. But they did, I guess that was the point where they decided, you know what, let's hang it up. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of my time promoting when I was kind of putting on my little party so special back in the day with my friend that I was doing it with. And unfortunately, towards the end, it kind of like, you know, led to the demise of our friendship, which is really unfortunate. But I think the reason why is because we didn't really hang it up sooner. We kind of just let it kind of die by itself. We kind of didn't step away from the party or try and reinvent or try and do cool, interesting things. We just kept doing the same thing, hoping that it would kind of pick up again with a new audience. And sometimes you can't. You have to kind of evolve. You have to change. You have to adapt. And we really didn't do that, and eventually ended up dying, and then we ended up really not really speaking to each other anymore. But I also think it's incredibly difficult to do something with somebody for that long, or for forever and ever. It kind of always has a bit of a shelf life. And I feel like Secretsundaze did it at the best, because at the time that they were around, I think that was just time that I was going out. I started maybe going out maybe when they started, because I remember they used to do raves at like the Peanut Factory back in the day in like East London. If you know about that venue. And I kind of known about them in the scene for many, 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 many years. And the fact that they still were able to do what they were doing at the level they were doing it at, still being close friends, not publicly falling out. Maybe they have it behind the scenes, who knows? Is a real credit to them as people. It kind of shows that they're proper sound individuals. And I like the fact that they both decided to just, you know, let's just step away and do our own thing separately. So maybe one person may decide to go produce and start doing other parties. Maybe the other person's going to go be an artist or be a DJ, whatever it may be. Or maybe just one person wants to start a family. I like the fact that they've both decided, no, we need to take a break. We need to stop this collaboration for now. We've told the story we need to tell. We've done what we need to do. And in a way also, even though it's not the right thing to say, I also like the fact that in a way, symbolically, you're kind of making room for new people. It doesn't really make sense because, you know, the whole room thing is a bit of a naff argument. I feel like if you have an expression, if you have a point of view, if you have something that you feel like is needed out there, you should do it anyway. You shouldn't care about if it's quote unquote crowded. But I also feel like there are only a certain amount of parties out there. There's only a certain amount of people out there, only a certain amount of clubs out there. And sometimes it could be nice to have some room and some space to kind of do your thing so you can have the chance to kind of grow and build your audience. So maybe this will be a chance for other people to kind of step in and do their thing. But also, like, towards the end, I feel like Secretsundaze towards the end, especially the last 10 years or so, they went out their way to really kind of have a whole roster full of DJs they worked with who were kind of young and up and coming, which really surprised me at the time. It's like, rah, they're not really booking themselves all the time. They're actually getting loads of like new up and coming people or like old fogies. Like, they're actually like adapting and doing it in a somewhat not even like a, it wasn't like they're trying to appease people. It wasn't like they were trying to like take some sort of like, you know, gendered quota or like sexual orientation quota. They were legitimately doing it from like love, from like, okay, cool, let's get this person on. This person's got a cool sound. Let's platform this person. Like, it kind of felt really fresh and really new, which maybe allowed them to kind of have the last few years in the sun and be able to kind of make that work. But anyway, let's go to the article. It says Giles, I keep saying his name wrong. Giles Smith and James Priestley, the DJ duo behind the much-loved London promoter Secretsundaze, are going their separate ways after 21 years. We've each been through a lot personal change and growth recently, so after all these years of service together, felt a desire to move forward with some more creative and professional freedom. When we started the party with Christoph and Will back in 2002 on Brick Lane, yeah, I remember when this is fucking crazy. I remember when it started. Little did we think that we'd be here 2 decades later. There was no master plan, and it was flowed and felt very natural. It's been a truly beautiful ride, and we feel genuinely blessed to have been the trusted pilots. Smith has left a focus on creative projects, including more production and a solo NTS radio residency, while Priestley will take full creative control of Secretsundaze. According to the Post, he'll build on principles and foundations, but bringing them together to present. Okay, cool. So Secretsundaze isn't ending. They're just going separately. That makes sense. So one person's going to continue doing Secretsundaze, the other person's going to continue doing their own thing solo, which is pretty cool still. And it means that Secretsundaze could then evolve into another thing. It could be, you know, maybe they take a step back and it's not even them in front of it. It's a whole cast of people. I fucking love it. Now there's 21 years, Secretsundaze released a film, celebrated. Those are the two founders there. and they've also got some more parties happening throughout the time that I probably will end up having to check out recently. But they also released this really cool video detailing the last 20 years of Secretsundaze, which I'm going to play here courtesy of their account on Secretsundaze YouTube. And I thought this is a really nice and really well put together flipping documentary that kind of, spanned the kind of history of what they've been doing, and spoke to some people involved with them behind the scenes and whatnot. So let's play a bit of this before we end the show.
It's doing what feels right from the heart and not being too set out on a plan to do this or do that in terms of how we move musically. I think authenticity has been key to us. We've always done things we always say for the right reasons and acted in a way that we feel is honest and respectful and true to what we believe in. We've been around 20 years now, and we've seen a lot of trends come and go. We've seen a lot of artists come and go. We feel like we've always just tried to stick to doing what we feel we do best in the best possible way.
Shit, I'm muted again. So, start again. Seeing those pictures and videos of those guys on the screen that are featured here, it kind of reminds me of the era when I used to go to parties and I would feel like I was a resident in-house videographer and picture taker, right? I'd be in there taking pictures of people living a hedonistic life and shit, loads of flash photography. Think of like, Cobra Snake type style of, taking pictures and shit, gallivanting around town. And that was the shit that I did back then. This was where I was taking these kind of pictures all the time. And it reminds me a little bit of the time there was this party also that Secretsundaze used to do called not Secretsundaze. There was a other promoter called Love Fever. They had this party called Love Fever that I used to always go to. It was one of the best fucking disco parties I ever been to in my life. Like, really amazing. The guys behind it, one dude called Alex Bradley and another dude, they basically went out of their way to kind of curate a space, curate the space and make it their own. They would kind of install this amazing lighting in there. They'd have cool balloons. I've actually got an album of it on my Flickr here. I don't know what year this must have been from. I don't know what year it was, but many, many years ago, I'd be at these fucking raves and they'd have these amazing balloons at the top of the fucking functions that they'd have. There's incredible lights, all red ambience. They'd have a really bespoke sound system put in. And that party was fucking incredible. One of the best I've been to. And unfortunately, that also died because the two founders kind of went their separate ways. But I think it wasn't amicable. It definitely ended in a bad way. And the party definitely didn't kind of evolve and kind of live with the times. But this is just around the same time that Secretsundaze were around doing their thing. I was going to these fucking, warehouse raves in the middle of London somewhere in these kind of like repurposed spaces, listening to some amazing records. They'd be booking like people like Moody Man and stuff be playing there. And I'd be in there taking these fucking pictures thinking I was fucking a club photographer, which is fucking cringe and really embarrassing. But this is the life that I used to live back then. So yeah, big up Secretsundaze for reminding me of that.
We were supposed to have like a 3-hour like production rehearsal, which turned into more like a half an hour line check. We were kind of banking on that time to really kind of run through everything and make sure we were all gelling as a band and was ready for it. A lot of the nerves came from the fact this was like such a new experience for me and on such a big stage and such a marked date of our 20th anniversary year, and stepping out on the stage suddenly brought the whole thing home.
James and I met at school when we were about 15, so I guess back in about 1992. But quite quickly, we kind of worked out we were both sort of into sort of dance music.
That maybe explains why they were able to kind of work together for so long and why they could come to an agreement, hey, we're going to take it to separate directions and it not be like beef, because they've known each other since they were fucking 15. You know what I mean? Even if you do beef along the way, you know each other intimately and you can have actual honest conversations, which I couldn't at the time with the person I was doing the party with, because we met each other a bit later in life and there was loads of things that we came into the quote-unquote business relationship with that we probably didn't deal with in our own. And just in general, lack of communication, letting people get in between us and shit kind of ruined that whole shit. And maybe just individually doing some bad things. But I think that an inability to just talk frankly to somebody because you know them really well kind of essentially led to our demise. But this explains why they've been together for so long.
Started going to our first raves in East Anglia, which was at the time, it was quite a hotbed for that scene. And also sort of early trips to like Ibiza as well were big kind of influences on what we do. James had already been promoting some events in Nottingham. A few of us came together, wanted to put on a party for our friends. There was no real kind of master plan. It was really like, you know, we've got our music, got our records, we've got a bunch of friends. Let's find a great space and celebrate life and come together and, you know, put on a party.
The name Secretsundaze came about, a few different strands kind of came together. So we were looking for a venue for a long time until we actually found 93 Feet East. But that venue was only available to us on a Sunday afternoon, on a Sunday basically. 93 Feet East as a venue is like tucked away just off Brick Lane. Back then it was quite an unknown, it wasn't really like a major spot, and we got into the idea of doing something on a Sunday.
Look at the era, that was this is the era that all the kids are now wearing, right? All the era, the kids now are into this. The Gen Z kids want to look like what we looked like back then. That's the funny shit. Back then, in this era of like that, what's that, early 2000s time? Like, I don't know, I'm thinking American Apparel, I'm thinking Vice, I'm thinking Protein Studios, 93 Feet East, I'm thinking Brick Lane. Like, it's fucking incredible how cyclical shit is, isn't it? It all comes back around. But all the kids now look like this. All the kids look like this now. Like fucking massive glasses, big hair, bedazzled tops, crop tops, trucker hats, funny glasses, like just, you know, random accessories, accoutrements and whatnot. They all look exactly like this. And the other thing that made me laugh as well, this is 93 Feet East. If you know anything about 93 Feet East now in Brick Lane, it's now essentially the pinnacle or the home, the mecca of like chavs and like tech house people and business techno. It's a really commercial kind of normie type of venue. But when it first started, it was actually kind of, I don't know, it was kind of conventionally hipster. But now it's got a completely different sort of clientele. So it's had many different sort of like iterations over the years. But you could never see these type of people there anymore because, you know, it's not the cool place to be. But 93 Feet East was quite cool in that way because it was like a little walkway type of vibe. And it kind of felt like you were outside, but you kind of also had the ability to put covers over it to make it feel like you were indoors. So you could have a kind of open air type of event that you don't really have here in London too often because usually people always complain about the noise. But big up, big up.
So we started parties here in May 2002 when we first started, and we did a whole summer, which took us up to about September time. And then we came back the following May after like a whole break.
The Alpha Industries bomber jacket is fucking hard. Fucking hard.
Over the winter and the May bank holiday, and that was when kind of things really started kicking off because I think it was the whole winter and everyone had been like starved from their fix of Secretsundaze, and everyone had been coming over the previous summer, had been telling all their friends about it. And then we only did 1 or 2 parties that year, and then we lost the venue. We had to move. At the time, there was loads of good spots around here that was like untapped, and like, you know, especially moving more into the city, which is very close to here. A lot of spaces weren't used at the weekend, so like other venues that we used, like the Poet and Light Bar, were just generally closed at the weekend. So like they were prime for the taking for us.
When I started playing for Secretsundaze, it was the year that they started. And I remember the first party I did for them. It was absolutely amazing. It was at 9.
Cosmo, big up Cosmo, the fucking legend.
93 Feet East. I just felt really free. I felt like I was able to play whatever I wanted to play. The crowd was wonderful. They were right there in our hands.
Yeah, Tashki's right. They do. Yeah, the Tashki's right. They do look related, don't they? I guess what happens, it's like being in a relationship. When you're in a relationship with someone long enough, you end up sounding like you end up having the same sort of vernacular, same type of, the way you pronounce shit, and you end up looking like each other as well. And the same thing goes for friends. You end up hanging around your friends too often, you end up actually looking like each other. Or maybe the same with people like and their pets, their dogs and their cats and shit. You end up looking like, you end up morphing into the same person. I don't know why, but yeah, they're actually not brothers. They're just really lifelong friends.
It just felt really natural. It felt really fun, and it felt like a party and not a club night. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, good quote. It felt like a party and not a club night. That's basically the best review you'd want. Like some of the best reviews I ever get from the podcast is usually people say, I always put it on in the background. That for me is the best review, because that's the main reason I listen to podcasts all day, because I can't have silence. I always have shit on in the background. And if it's terrible, I'll be like passively listen to it. So if it's terrible, I'll turn it off. But if it's good, I'm actively and passively listening to it at the same time. So in some ways you can see it as a slight, they're not paying attention to you. They're just listening in the background. But no, the fact that they're trusting me and listening to me the entire way through and trusting me with their time and their day is the best review. The same thing goes for the parties. You actually want it to feel like a party, not a club night. A club night is sterile. A club night is just booking the bait person who's number one on the list, who can sell the best amount of tickets, who's right on trend with the music going on. But creating a party is harder, but also is the better review, because a party is about the people that go there, really. It's really not really about the DJ. It's about the vibe, the community that you have, the spaces that you're repurposing, how you're programming things, all those things that maybe go outside of booking the bait DJ. That's what creates a good party. So the fact that someone would say that to you as for the nights that you're putting on is actually the best compliment you can ever give somebody. And they definitely, they're definitely some of the best reviews. That's the best flyers on the scene. But again, artistic, vision and whatnot and branding is top notch when it comes to Secretsundaze. Really, really well done. Really well done.
The Poet ran for all of the second year and some parties in the third year. The party was illegal anyway. The landlord of the pub that we threw the party at had basically been grassed up by some kind of posh neighbour, lots of money, that had spoke to the council, so we had to stop doing the party. We actually met a young lad at the party whose father was the main leaseholder who was renting out the pub to the landlord. And he's like, hey guys, I've got the keys to the terrace. Should we break in and do one? We were like, yeah, why not? That just excited us even more at that point.
Community's been really important to Secretsundaze over the last 20 years. That's kind of how we started. And different friend groups started forming at the party, and whenever someone asks me, how do you know that person? I'm like, through Secretsundaze,
My current girlfriend, we actually had our first kiss at Secretsundaze. But 15 years later, I see the same faces, I see new ones.
That's kind of cool, right? That's really cool, to be fair. Not gonna lie. Kind of corny, kind of cheesy, once you make you vomit in your mouth, but that's really cute.
Lots of DJs kind of keep coming back and playing, and you probably get the best house music in London at this party.
So it's now been 5 years that I've been going to Secretsundaze. My first party was not too long after I got to London, actually, and one of my good friends, who's also from Spain, took me there. It was just amazing.
From Spain, I could not tell. From Spain, big up, big up.
The whole clubbing scene in Spain is quite different. It felt like such an inclusive environment. I just absolutely loved it, and it made me want to keep on going.
We know what we like to do and how we like to do things, and the people we like to surround ourselves with, and that includes booking talent and stuff.
The first time we met was in Australia. Me and Giles was like, I think it was at this place in Melbourne called the Meerkat. So ever since then, they told me, and it was like, man, we're gonna bring you to London. I was like, okay. Got a call from my agent and Secretsundaze. I was like, oh wow, I remember those guys.
Who we invite is obviously really important on a musical level, but also on a personal level.
There's a real core root of what we do that isn't really following fashion or trends, And I think that's something that has held us in good stead across these years.
When I came here to study for university, I discovered the clubbing aspect of London, and Secretsundaze was in fact one of the key parties through this school of electronic music that I went through here, just as a clubber, you know. Still now, I really love them because they still represent the same values that they were representing 20 years ago.
Our mantras, heart's not hype and true dance music spirit, are kind of terms that I coined writing press releases, trying to describe our parties. You know, true dance music spirit, first of all, there's in many ways you can interpret that. We kind of meant it from a musical angle in terms of referencing the past, referencing the roots of kind of black, gay dance music, but also equally thinking about, you know, the roots of the rave scene in the UK, which we're very much, you know, feel we've sort of come through. The word authenticity kind of really relates to all of that, doing things for the right reasons. In terms of true dance music spirit, it's really about the way we try to carry ourselves, the way we want the energy in the party to be, the way we welcome people, love and warmth and openness.
We like to genuinely meet people and welcome people to the party and introducing new people to what we do, whether that's through the label, or through our events, or through our DJing.
But yeah, so I'm not gonna play the whole thing because it's about 15 minutes long. But big up Secretsundaze, big up Giles, big up James. Wishing them all the best on their journey forward. Very inspiring story. Got me kind of wanting to go and start up another party again and get it going once more. But promoting is legitimately one of the most hellish jobs on the face of the earth. All promoters out there who are doing a great job or even doing a bad job, I salute every one of you, because getting people to actually leave their homes and to, you know, to buy tickets, first of all, to leave their homes and attend your parties on any given weekend is one of the hardest things to do. And the fact that there are so many people out there willing and ready to put their money, lives, reputation on the line to kind of tell a particular story or to try and cultivate a particular type of scene and community around what they do just for the love of the music, because most people don't make money. You're always doing it for the fucking love, especially in the beginning. So if you do make money in the end, fair play to you. If you get brand deals, all good. You know, do your thing. You're never selling out in that regard because it doesn't pay well in general. So you're always doing it for the love. You're always just investing the money you do. You make from your full-time job or from DJing full-time, and you're investing it all into parties. And sometimes you don't even break even. Sometimes you operate at a loss. Like I've done it. We've done it previous times. We used to put on raves. You'd be booking DJs and you wouldn't even make this amount. You'd be booking a DJ for £500. You don't even make £500 at the fucking bar. But you just did it just for the bants, just for the fucking, you know, just for the fucking rave, just for the vibes and all that malarkey. So love to see it. Hopefully Secretsundaze does continue on in its current iteration, even if it's just a singular voice and it changes into something else and maybe it's presenting different people, maybe the sound evolves. But I actually like the fact that if you want a quintessential house disco-y type of party, Secretsundaze is always the easiest and most safest option to go to, because you know exactly what you're going to get. Always a good time, always interesting bookings, always in cool, interesting spaces. Maybe it was all by kind of, you know, it was all by default because they had to keep hopping around because venues kept closing. But I like the fact that they will take a chance on a space. Like, I think if I remember correctly, they may have made, I forgot what that studio in London, in North London is called, but there's some studio in London, it's all white. I think they were probably one of the first promoters to actually make that pop in. A lot of these spaces that people weren't using, like photography spaces and shit and whatever it may be, they would repurpose those spaces as clubbing places. And usually the spaces would be like in random areas in London that people don't usually go to, and they would make them pop in. So they really do deserve a lot of credit for kind of spearheading that kind of movement to going out there and looking at new spaces, not just kind of only putting your raves on in clubs. Because, you know, there's not a lot of clubs, so there's more spaces that you can find to repurpose and make that work, but it's obviously a big gamble. But anyway, regardless of that, big up them. They have some more parties lined up here in London. I think I went to check out here quickly here on the list that they have coming up. They've got a Secretsundaze all-nighter at the Pickle Factory happening on the 10th of June. They've got Secretsundaze in Barcelona featuring Alex Cassian, Chaos in the CBD, Nix, Paqueta Gordon, who you heard on that video, which is fucking sick, playing in Barcelona on 17th of June. And then they've got another party happening in Hackney Wick, presents Multi featuring Adam Pitts, Adriana, Annie Phoebe, Anu, a few other people on there on the list as well on January 8th. So definitely check that out. That'd be definitely amazing. I cannot wait for them to see what they're going to be doing going forward. But definitely an incredible legacy left behind. And definitely they've shown people how to do it the right and correct way. And they still remain friends. It's still a cool little partnership going on there. Love in the air. They're still going doing their own thing creatively. I fucking love it because, you know, in my experience, it didn't end that way for me. It didn't end that way for me.